Hey there, welcome to the Healthy Vibes podcast. I'm Kelly Renato, and I thank you so much for being with me today. I have a special guest, and I hope you listen till the very end. I brought back, she's been on my podcast before, a good friend, Jenni Spuler. I met her when our kids were little babies, and I love that I'm still connected to her, and she gave me her precious time today. So please listen in. We talk about our kids getting older, some things we've learned as parenting to stay connected to them. She's a big lover of Jesus. She's a pastor's wife, a mother of 5. She's a working mom in the mortgage business, and she's just an amazing human, and I think you'll love it. So listen in. All right. Hey, Jenni, thank you so much for coming back in and joining me on my podcast. I'm
Hey,
really excited to have you
Kelly.
here.
I'm so happy to be back with you. I've missed you.
I've missed you too. And this is your second time on here. And I'm sure some people listening don't know that we connected and met, gosh, I want to say 17, if I'm doing it right, years ago when my oldest
Probably.
and your second oldest were in
Mm-hmm.
preschool, which is nuts. And now those children that met back there in 3-year-old preschool are
Yeah.
in
Yep.
college.
Yep.
So it's a crazy that we're in this season of life, but I love that I'm still connected, and I love that you were willing to come back on and talk about
Oh,
really, really good stuff in this season of life we're in.
I'm thrilled to be with you anytime, any chance I can talk to you.
Well, I think you're such just a healthy sound and like sounding board for anyone. You have such good, solid foundational advice and always brings us back to faith and what matters. And I just think so many people can benefit from your voice, your knowledge, all of it. So I'd
Awesome.
like to first just get into like what you're doing now. So I know you have 5 kids, 4 of which are in the process of launching out of your
Yep.
house,
Yep.
and one's still in high school. And so where are you now as a mom, as a professional, and what are you into?
So we're in this crazy season of like you kind of mentioned we already had 2 kids in college, and our 18-year-old twins just graduated high school, and now we're launching 2 to college at once. And
Goodness.
so we've been saying, like, just as like alarming is not the right word, but drastic of a change as it was to go from a family of 2 children to 4 children, bringing the twins home from the hospital. I'll
Yeah.
never forget how abrupt, maybe that's what the word is, how abrupt it is
Uh,
to make a change to bring in 2 babies. It's
2.
feeling almost as abrupt to send 2 at once. And so,
Right.
because 2 unique lives, 2 unique personalities, different goals, different dreams, and wanting to be fully available and like leaned into each one. And yet it's happening simultaneously.
Oh
And
my.
so it's wild. So, yeah, so we're in a season where we have 4 in college as of this coming August, and our youngest will be in high school. And we were in Orlando for years and got to know you and so many wonderful people when Jonathan was pastoring a church there. And now we've been in Alabama. I believe it's 14 years actually this week. 14
Whoa.
years we've been in Alabama. And so I would say our kids say they're from Alabama.
I bet they
Um,
do.
yes, and they've got the southern accents to show for it. And this is my original home. I was born and raised here. And so it's been a gift that we didn't know we needed to raise our family in a familiar space for me. It's just been a gift. And so, yeah, so when we moved here, I think I'm answering your question. I'm taking the long
Yes,
way
you are.
around. But when we moved here, I did work in ministry alongside my husband for many years. But outside of ministry, I always had worked in human resources as well. And so I wore that hat of human resources at kind of a large church here. So, long story short, I started to feel a sense of transition, like I think so many people did in 2020, kind of a shift of a 2020, 2021 shift. And long story short, God ordered my steps. It's not something I had looked into before, but it's been a perfect match for me with my experience in HR and even my love of getting to work with people and serve people. Is I've been in mortgage for 4 years now. And it is getting to kind of feed my nerd side, my numbers side. I am a numbers person. I was the captain of the math team in high school.
I don't think I knew that. That's good.
Yes,
That says a lot.
yes. And it's funny because I didn't take accounting till my junior year of college, and had I not wanted to get married to Jonathan so badly, I would have changed my major for sure and just stayed in college longer. Because it's just how I'm wired is for numbers and data and facts and clear definition to things. And so mortgage has been great for me because there are rules for everything. I can find the answer, the rule. There is a right or a wrong. And
Hmm.
that part has been just, it's funny to say, but like just so enjoyable for me. And then, but the life-giving piece of it is that I get to serve people. And so, if I were just sitting at my desk crunching numbers all day, I don't think I'd have the joy that I have gotten to experience in what I do, but I have gotten to help people. When people are in the process of buying a home, they are in a life transition one way or another. They are in a life transition.
Absolutely.
And so I find I'm usually working with engaged couples buying their first home and they have a wedding date set. Or recently, I was working with a widow who was recently widowed and had to make life change. Or sometimes people are navigating divorce and they're having to sell homes and buy new homes. And so really it sounds like buying a home is always a beautiful thing. It's often a beautiful thing, but sometimes people are walking through heartache and brokenness and they're having to figure out how to start again. So it's just been so neat how God has allowed me this gift of like using, I guess you would say, my gifts, like the numbers side of things, and yet still understanding like it's all about serving people. And and it's mortgage. So like
Ye
God can use anything.
But I love that. I mean, I love exactly how you said that because being in real estate, I feel the same way. Like, I think the whole real estate, I love looking at houses, checking out the prices, what's going on in the market, but when it comes down to helping someone either buy or sell their
Hmm.
home, you're right. There's always something emotional going on with it or that happens in
Absolutely.
the process. And
Hmm.
I love that I can be there and help them through that. That's my joy of it is exactly like you said, is helping them
Absolutely.
through that process and being
Hmm.
that calm sounding board that realizes there's more going on than just a transaction of a house, right?
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
well,
Absolutely.
and I love that you and I can actually work together too because I know that you're licensed in Alabama and Florida, and
That's right. Yep. I would
yeah,
love that. Yes. Yes. We're
so
down
I
in
would love that,
we're in southern Alabama, not far from the Florida line.
which
So,
is great.
yep. Yes.
So I will keep you in that Rolodex as well, even though I don't. If anyone
That
on here, some people might not know what a Rolodex is, but
probably.
that's quite possible. But I'm going to keep you in my reminders for that as well. Um,
Perfect.
well, I love that you're walking that path, and with the fact that you've already sent two off and you have these two, what is helping you in this big
Mm,
transition? Because I mean, a lot of us have transition going on, but with two off, two more, like you just said, like what's helping you, or what would be
wow.
some things you've thought of or you think back to that have helped you in this season?
So I don't know how well I have this like thought out per se, but something I realize I've talked a lot about the last few years in our home and just I guess maybe what I've been going through. Like a lot of maturing, yeah, we're in our 40s, but like we're still maturing, we're still growing. And as a mom, at some point there was this shift in me that I had to really shift that I like was raising my kids for the long game. You know, like
Hmm.
like the long road. And I think we all are doing that, but our own needs can kind of get in the way of that sometimes. Like the thought of launching kids that doesn't I don't want my kids to leave.
Right.
So it's not like I have this uh short-term gain of them leaving by any means, but there's a long-term gain if they're following what they believe they're supposed to do. And so I've had to really adjust my expectations the last few years of what is it that I feel. Um, I mean, this was a long journey for me. What are the needs in me that I'm needing filled by my kids? And it first of all, is that healthy? Is it healthy? Is it good? Is it balanced? I mean, I think some of the needs are okay. I want relationship, I want to know them. I want, but if any of the needs, I kind of had to identify almost a little bit of selfish needs of
Hmm.
realizing I had to let go of some of those expectations I had and wanted for me in order to just serve them best for that long game, that long road. So like I'm a very like matter of fact black and white person. So sometimes if I get really wrapped up in emotions of what this can feel like this can feel like a season of loss. I have an upstairs full of kids and just a few weeks we'll have one upstairs. And that sounds quiet. I'm anticipating that's going to feel quiet, um, strange, because
Right.
kids multiply. So I've got 5 kids. Well, they usually all have a friend, and then so my house is packed with kids, and now suddenly there'll be one. And so, but I have to remind myself. I get this black and white picture of, well, but do I believe they've prayed about their next steps. They've used wisdom. Like, we're not just being careless. They've put a lot into these decisions. And so I care more about that long road of their faith journey, their journey of becoming, than my temporary need to just kind of have my heart filled by them being in my home. And so, um, and that's tough. I mean, I'm still walking it out. Um, because we still have the house full. But this is kind of how I'm preparing and just kind of really teaching myself, holding
Yeah.
myself accountable to that even on hard days to remember like we can do hard things like and just because it's hard doesn't mean it isn't good. Um that's kind of a tagline in our home is just because it's hard doesn't mean it isn't good. Like we can't just run away from hard things. And so I know the next few months are going to be hard. I don't
Yeah.
I don't deny it, but it doesn't mean it's not good. And so I'm holding on to that. And it's interesting. I thought about you, Kelly, recently, even before you reached out to me, because something else I'm doing for myself, like with a priority that I haven't had in recent years, kind of these years of having all these teenagers and all this activity. Um, I'd say my physical health I've not taken as good care of myself as far as just that regular routine, working out, everything. And when I lived in Orlando, I had the opportunity to train with you. Well, I say train with you. I don't know how well
Yes.
I did, but you were a renowned Pilates instructor in
Oh,
Orlando
you are
in
so
in the
kind.
years. And I've just gotten back into Pilates, and oh
That makes me
my
so happy.
gosh. And it makes me so happy. I know that it's healthy for my body, but it has been so good for my mind and emotions to walk away from everything. It's almost like the 1 hour a day where my phone is actually away from me, out of my hands. No one can reach me. And so what that does for me emotionally and mentally to be detached that way, but then also taking care of myself physically. Just remembering that like
Yes.
I got to take care of me. I've given so much to taking care of my family, and what good is it if I'm not taken care of as well? So
I couldn't agree more. And I love that. First of all, that just makes me so happy. You're probably like, there's a few of them that I've run into or talked to that were away from Pilates and have gotten back into it. And it just makes me happy. I took a Pilates
mm,
class with my son's girlfriend recently. She brought
oh
me to it. I hadn't been in one. I missed it so much.
wow,
I would love to have my own reformer, but she asked me because she goes regularly and I had so much fun and it was really hard and I work out all the time. And I was like, I did miss it. I love
yeah,
that she was doing it too. Like it just Pilates makes me so happy. And I feel like, yes, we
hmm
started it. Like that was like the beginning of Pilates, I feel like around our part of
yes,
town. So
right,
so I love that you're doing that. And I feel like that's like one of the number one things that I would tell moms to do in this stage that
hmm
I feel like you can so easily fall into the sadness, the hurt, the heartache.
hmm
And I could easily fall there, but I know if I fall
Yeah.
there, what it feels like. And so I feel like number one is that consistent take, like putting yourself first, like your
Yeah.
health.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I'm into health, I easily could like, be so inconsistent with,
Mm-hmm.
because my kids always have come first, always. Like I feel like
Yeah.
that's my biggest job. So I would say I do that too.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love how you said the journey of them becoming, I think is how you said it.
Yeah.
And I do think I kind of look at that as well, but the way you said it was just perfectly said. Like being able to take yourself out of it, almost like you said though, maturing yourself and
Yes.
watching your kid. Because I've said that to myself and to John many times. Like it is a lot of us growing up as well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you could say I'm grown up, but no, like in terms of raising the kids, because when they were little, we parented one way. When they
Mm-hmm.
like into that transitional awkward stage of middle high, we parented a little bit different. And now,
Yeah,
like, it's that, yeah, you're still like connected and looking at the expectations of what you want. Like, I like
for
the way you
sure.
said that too. Like, what is it that's selfish for me and what's really
Mm-hmm.
most important?
And I think too sometimes I don't realize the fact that we have five has given us an opportunity that we've gone through this before. Like we get to grow each time we launch someone because we learn something new about the process each time. Um,
Mhm.
I remember one time when the kids were younger, it was like I said, every time we added a baby to our family, every time our family grew, I was so humbled. It was like I realized um, how much I needed God, how little I knew,
Mhm.
because maybe I thought I could run the world before I had kids, and then, and then you're humbled, and then it's like, well, and then God gave me five, so it was like, well, I needed a lot of humbling, I guess. Um, and I don't mean because of anything challenge they brought. I just mean the challenge of raising all these unique people and all the things that come with it. But
Yeah.
so something that I've learned, I can say we didn't do any of this right with our first, bless his heart. Like, we tell him all the time, we're just so grateful for him being such a kind and gracious guinea pig because we didn't know what we were doing when we were launching our first. We were
Mhm.
clueless and we were launching him in the midst of COVID. And so, like probably the rest of parents of the class of 2021, everyone was just like trying to force, just like get back to normal, get back to normal. Once they're there, once it's normal, everything will be okay. And that's not really how anyone recovers from a
No.
crisis. And we learned that again humbly that that's not how you recover from crisis. Is you don't always power through. Sometimes you need to step back. Sometimes you need
Yeah.
to rest and breathe.
Oh,
And
so
so
good.
I think we've learned, and then we learned again, with our second. I think we learned even more about launching. And and I feel like we've been saying with the now we're launching number three and four. And I mean, the whole journey's ahead of them. We're not even one step into it. But this idea of almost a slow release. And so I think what we did in innocence with our first is I think we held on too long to a lot of things. And then suddenly he left and suddenly he was on his own. There wasn't like this slow release of passing of the baton slowly, of learning just life skills. Like we were holding on to everything too closely ourselves, um,
Mhm.
micromanaging his life, and never gave him the opportunity to manage more, which was our fault, but we didn't know it. We were just navigating through it the best we knew. And we've learned now with each one about giving them more responsibility at younger ages and letting them have a slow release, like they're growing into it over time in the safety of our home. And then it's just a step. It doesn't have to be such
Mhm.
a leap. And the funniest example of this, I think this must be the day it started, is the whole family drove our oldest to college when he went, and from top to bottom, it's a 7 year difference. So when our oldest was 18 going to college, our youngest was 11, and we're all driving home from taking him to college, and he FaceTimes us from the laundry room at college, and he's FaceTiming, and he goes, "Mom, like, what are these pods, and where did they go?" Like, and he'd never done laundry before. And shame on me. It never had occurred to me. So that day we drive home and our 11-year-old says, so today I want to start doing my own laundry. He's
Oh
11
my
years old. And so
gosh.
on the same day that the 18-year-old started doing laundry, the 11-year-old started doing laundry.
Oh,
And
gee.
but that's like that was like the kids leading us. That wasn't me having a
Yes.
revelation of that I need to do something different. And do you know, like a light bulb went off. I was like, oh my gosh, if my 11-year-old can do laundry, they all can. And I haven't done the kids' laundry since. And so, and I'm here to support and like, oh my gosh, we have a big game. I forgot to wash my uniform. Like, oh my gosh, I'm here to jump in. But they've learned some life skills under our roof
Yeah.
because we let loose a little bit. We didn't hold everything so tightly. And I think probably parents of big families would all agree. Like, it's just something that happens as the oldest grows. Everyone kind of grows with that oldest child.
Mhm.
Um, and so anyway, I'm kind of all over the place, but all that to say,
No, you're
I
not at
we
all.
like, I'm not saying we have the perfect plan of launching. What I'm saying is we've made a lot of mistakes and God's given us more opportunities to do it again, And and so we just don't even feel anything that we have felt before in launching because it feels like the twins, well, they've already been having to handle things and
Mhm.
make decisions. And we aren't like ruling them, ruling over them like we're your parents but we're more we've been growing in discussions like rather than well I said so, it's a little bit well, let's talk about it and
Exactly. I like that.
helping them grow so that when they all move out next month, it doesn't have to feel like a leap. That's the prayer. It really is a leap regardless to move out, live in a new city, manage your life alone, new classes, new friends, new church, new everything. Um, but we don't have the anxiety or fear I think that we had when we've launched kids previously because we've been able to see them through kind of making decisions together, navigating things together a little bit more so than what we understood to do before. Um,
Which is
so,
such good advice. I feel like you keep saying being humbled, and I feel like having that humility and to learn, like when
hmm
you did do something wrong. I feel like sometimes as parents, and I felt this way before, and I, again, like we talked about growing up, I feel like I had to grow up spiritually inside and just as a person to know that it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to learn
hmm
from it as a parent, I guess is what I'm saying. Because you feel like
yeah,
parents sometimes, and even at this age, still feel like they need to know more than their kid or teach more than their
hmm
kid rather than we can learn so much from our kids and
right.
and not like releasing that laundry to them. I love the not that it doesn't have to be perfect. I feel like that was a lot of with Luke.
hmm
I feel like when he was a junior and a senior, there was a lot that I would just let go. But I always, like my brother and I would talk, and we would talk about how we would support them, we would guide them, we would tell them, give them all this advice. But I always, at the end, said, listen, this is your choice. I'm just
hmm
guiding you, kind of thing. And then
Yes.
letting them like, I had to let go exactly like you said and let him go and possibly not do it exactly right. Maybe if I had
Exactly.
walked him along, handheld him, it would have worked out exactly what we thought, but he wasn't going to learn it if I didn't just let him,
hmm
right? And
Oh,
I,
absolutely. And I think we all do that with our
we
oldest.
do. It's so
Um,
easy.
yes. And like you said, like feeling on a separate issue, which I think you and I've talked about before, and I know we're not going into this today, but I mean, I have journeyed through such an unbelievable battle with perfectionism. And I state that like as almost a diagnosis. Like I don't say it like lightly, like it was truly like a burden in my life of
Hmm.
perfectionism. Um and our oldest felt that the most because when everything has to be perfect and ultimately I think, I didn't understand this. This is all in hindsight, but that if I didn't do everything perfect as a parent, then that meant I was a failure. That's essentially what my brain believed and my behavior was believing was everything
Hmm.
has to be perfect. And if it's not, then I'm a failure. And so with our oldest, I didn't let him have a lot of opportunities to grow because I believed it was all on me. Because if
Hmm.
not, I was a failure. And so which was not his fault at all. Not at all. And so with our oldest Owen, I mean, I apologize to all the kids often, and I realized when they
Mhm.
were growing up, I did not apologize often because apologizing often would have meant I had done something wrong. And when you're struggling with perfectionism, that's not something you like to, admit. But as God's been walking me through healing and freedom from perfectionism and performance, um, now the words "I'm sorry" just like flow right off the tongue. You know,
Mhm.
they just flow because you realize, first of all, God never put that burden on me to be perfect. It was never the plan or expectation because it's not achievable. It's not an option.
No,
And
it's not.
but our oldest, when I first started healing, I really intentionally began healing and going through counseling and just really stepping back from a lot of things just so I could be alone with God for me, like not for what I needed to share for others, but what was God sharing with me. And when I was going through that season, and I still am, but I mean, when it was first beginning, I was just having all these like almost like flashback moments of parenting and seeing moments and reliving them, but seeing them differently and like living it now from the lens of that I was just broken too. I was just hurting and broken but didn't know it, and revisiting how I had parented moments that at the time felt like I had done it right. And then in this new revelation of who God is and his kindness, I realized I'd missed the mark, you know. And
Mhm.
I would call our oldest Owen, who was living away at college, all the time and tell him I'm sorry. Owen, I'm sorry. I just was thinking about the time that, and I'd give him an example. I mean, Kelly, I was going back to things that I remembered screaming at him or whatever. Living in Orlando. I mean, he was 8 years
Oh.
old, and I'm calling an 18-year-old and asking him for forgiveness for something that had happened. And he's so kind with me. He never takes it lightly. He's so kind with me. But like after I did that several times, he just kind of was like, "Mom, like I'm good. Like thank you. Like but you don't have to keep doing this. Like you don't have to keep coming back for every single thing because I love you and I'm good." Like and
Oh.
but it was just part of the healing journey for me was learning to say I'm sorry. Um for some things in the past, but then like now it's just a part of our vocabulary. Like, gosh, I'm sorry I did that. I didn't know I made you feel that way. Like it's just so freeing and everybody can kind of let their
Agree.
guard down.
I
And
yes. And I
yeah.
think so many people probably feel exactly what you're saying. I know I have. It took time for me as a parent as well because I always felt that
Mhm.
exactly the same thing. I was supposed to do everything right. I'm the parent.
Mhm.
And my kids, same thing as they were growing up. I had to do the same. And it was also for me was like learning to let go and move on from things. I
Yeah.
felt like I would stay with things. And
Mhm.
there came a point where I'm like, why am I holding on to this? And I just had to learn how to just drop it because I was like, I got to teach my kids to like let go. I feel like you realize how hard life is once you
Mhm.
once you get older, you have kids, parents get sick, like all of a sudden life just
Mhm.
became very hard. And my kids,
Mhm.
watched like several of their grandparents go through sickness and pass away.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I just finally said to myself, I can't just sit in this. Like I loved them, I miss them. This was hard, but I have got to teach my kids to be able to walk alongside this and be okay in life, right? Like you
Mhm.
said early in there, it can be just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not good. And finding that
Yeah.
good in the hard to me was the healing I needed as well because life just felt so hard. So every time I
Mhm.
faced something new, I felt like I was
Mhm.
just falling in a trap. And I was like, I've got to learn to get out of the trap and show my kids that you don't fall in the trap and just stay down. Like,
Right. Right.
right? So
Mhm.
it's such I feel like so many of us feel these things and being able
Yeah.
to learn that we are still growing, learning, God is still teaching us things and that we can give those to
Mhm.
our kids Very good. So good. And saying I'm sorry, I would agree, is so
Hmm.
freeing. But then there was the flip flop because I did the same, and then I found one of mine always coming back. I was like, stop. I said, I was like, you don't always have to say you're sorry. So that was,
Oh,
then there was that side of it, and I
yep,
was, I appreciate it. Let's move on. Like that's,
yep, right.
thank you for noticing it. You know, um, but that's so good. So back to your one that's at home,
Mm,
which is such a big one too, because big for you guys, but really
yeah,
big for him. Are and I don't even know if you are or how you're walking through that because that's kind of a new one for you. Is there anything that
it
you
is.
feel that's that you're like? Are you having conversations with him, or what have you in this?
Well, we are. So I have four boys and one girl, and he's the he's obviously the youngest. So it's the three boys, a girl, and then Gage. And so he has grown up like always like a older than his age, just because he grew up with all these older siblings and with older kids around, and just we always had extra kids around as all teenagers. So he's like he's so fun and so social, but he's like an old soul as well. So because I mean, think about it, 15, he's now gonna help move his third and fourth sibling into colleges. So he's walked through more college campuses than some seniors in high school. He has visited colleges
Oh, I
everywhere.
bet.
So he's had a lot of exposure in his life just from being in a large family and having siblings that have gone in different directions. But something that I just know it was the Lord because I don't even know how other than God just gave us this probably about a year ago, was that we were not going to focus on like that launching the twins. Our verbiage was not going to be sadness, because like God's not finished with us here, in our
Right.
house. God's not
Yes.
finished with us, and so this is super exciting that they're all getting to go forward. But like Jonathan and I, when we talk about everyone leaving, um, we talk about it like, Gage, we can't wait. Like, it's going to be so fun. Like, what are we going to get to do, just the three of us, that we couldn't do before because there were too many of us? We couldn't just buy 7 plane tickets on a whim and go for a weekend somewhere. That's not realistic, but maybe the three of us can. Um, and so we just try to talk like the world is not ending because siblings are leaving. And people do that all the time. It's innocent, but when you talk that way, like someone's leaving and a mom talks like her life is ending, her purpose is over, and there's still kids at home. What are they left to believe that they're not
Right.
enough? I
Right.
mean, that's never what someone's meaning, but that's definitely what could be perceived by
Absolutely.
younger siblings is if, well, mom and dad are a wreck, or mom can't stop crying, or, whatever. Like, there's no fun anymore. There's no whatever in the home anymore. Well, they're made to feel that they're not enough. And so, in this transition right now, I think it's interesting that out of God's goodness, we have felt more prepared in launching these two. And what it's done is allowed us to focus a little bit more even on Gage, like yes, we're focusing on those that are walking in the transition, but I think our focus is more on Gage this time with the ones being left behind than the ones leaving because they all are getting to kind of run towards something with excitement, and he's left in the quiet house. And bless his heart, he also doesn't drive yet. And so he was in high school this past year with his twin siblings, Ethan and Emma, who were both seniors.
Oh
And so
boy.
he had two siblings who drove. He was a freshman on the varsity soccer team, so he went to practices with his brother. He went to school with his brother. They shared friends from the team. Like, so he really didn't even depend on me a lot this last year. And so
Right.
now we're even stepping back into that, like literally back to the car line. We're literally back to like go stand in the car line and I'll be there in a minute, like,
Oh,
and
yes. Oh
so
my gosh, that is hard.
it's going to be a transition. It's going to be a
Yes.
transition. And so we're just going to have a lot of grace for each other. And I've been super transparent with some friends, like older friends of his, even on the soccer team. And I've just said, hey, like, I don't know. I don't like sit around and just hope people think what I want them to think, So there's a couple of boys that we love and we trust that are older on the team, and I've just said to them, hey, all Gage knows is life with his big brothers, and he's gonna need some brothers. Like, will you step up? Like, we need you.
Good for you,
And
Jenny. I
I
love
have.
that.
And for one of them, who we literally love like a son, I said to him, "Listen, I will pay you if you will come and pick him up and take him to school and bring him home. I can take him. I'm happy to take him, but I also know that it would just meet such a really, honestly, it would meet a need of his emotionally
Exactly.
to get to do that. And so
Yes.
we don't have it all figured out, but we just realize we're going to watch it closely, and um, we're just going to pay attention to how he's doing. And I will also shout out my older kids that have already lived away, Owen and Colin, at how well they keep in touch with the younger kids.
Hmm.
And um, you know, their lives are busy and full. I know they need that connection, but I know they also do it because they know the younger kids need the connection. And so
So
the
good.
fact that I know that they're all leaving, but Gage is still going to hear from them is a big deal. Like, I don't have to worry about that. I know he will hear individually from his siblings through FaceTime or Snapchat or whatever means they use. Um,
Mhm.
they will have contact and probably have more contact. The kids will probably have more contact with Gage than they'll have with us, truthfully, because this generation is used to this constant contact, you know?
Right.
And
Exactly.
I'm still more wired for, like, let me just hear your voice a minute, you know?
Right.
Um, I teased a friend yesterday that I said, if I had the ability to make cute graphics or something for Instagram, I feel like I would like post one-liners all the time
I know.
because I don't know how to make cute things. But yesterday I had sent this family chat. We have a family chat text message, and I had sent several things, and like crickets, no response. And I know they're all on their phones, but they're
Right.
not responding to me. And I'm like, you know what? I actually had this moment in my kitchen. I was like, I'm about to download Snapchat so my kids will see my messages and respond to me. Like, I'm going to get on Snap just so I can say, hey, come get your laundry. Hey, come get the dishes. Like, for a minute, I
I
considered it, but I'm like, but I don't want to learn it. I don't want to figure it out. So,
right. Right. I listen, I feel you and I can relate to everything you said. I only have 2, but I have one that's exactly like that. I'm always like,
mhm.
"Just respond. I know you have it. Just respond."
Yeah.
So that's but listen, that was really good advice of all that you said about what words you're using and reaching out to older kids, like, and truly not sitting around and just expecting people to do something. So many of us
Hmm.
that's that like problem that's not only with friendships but within families. Sometimes we sit around and just
Hmm.
expect people to think they know what we're wanting rather than
Right.
just speaking it. So such
Exactly.
good advice, such good
Because
advice.
if it's a healthy expectation, you know, as long as it's not something
Ah,
unrealistic, like as long
yes.
as it's a healthy expectation of someone that we love.
Let's keep
I mean,
that in perspective.
yeah,
Absolutely, I would
because
agree with
most
that.
of our unmet expectations are uncommunicated expectations. And so, as long as it's a healthy expectation, then communicate.
Yes, absolutely, and I agree, though, that's important too. 'Cause there's a lot of unrealistic too, and that's all
Hmm.
conversation, all communication. I feel like I'm
Yeah.
always telling my kids that's the other big thing is just to communicate it. It's,
Hmm.
always communicate. It's how you communicate. There's
Yeah.
nothing that you can't communicate. It's just how you deliver it, how you approach
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
So along with that, with your older kids and the relationship with your older kids, what does help your relationship now that you've had 2 that have been away. So
Hmm.
do you have anything you feel has helped you stay in? Because it is
You
hard.
know, it is. It is. And distance, you know, we don't just run into each other. You know, we're in different cities, one's in a different state. Like, um, so you can feel disconnected pretty quickly, if you're not careful. I will say that one of the biggest things for me, kind of where we started the conversation, was really kind of surrendering my needs, if you will. Like, um, like I don't need, if you will, to hear their voice every day. I've got to lay that down. I've got to surrender that and really kind of lean into what are their needs. And that now our role has changed. I'm their parent, I'm forever their mother, but I'm not raising them in that season. I've put on a different, um, I'm wearing a different title now, if you will, and I feel like I'm like my role is to be their biggest encourager. So, um, definitely that's my role is to be their biggest encourager. I think Jonathan often is that voice of wisdom, and I'm their cheerleader. But as long as
Mm-hmm.
they know that if they call us, that they can say anything, they can say anything, and we're not going to freak out. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to stay on the phone with them, and we're going to figure this out together. And so I think that as long as I haven't put my needs being met on their shoulders, then I think that that transition to having older kids can go so much more beautifully. And I don't mean that as mom I have no needs. I don't mean that like, oh, selfless mom, lay myself down, I have no needs. It's got to be mutual and healthy and all that. But I just think that more often than not in this stage of transition to older kids, college kids, young adults, that too often parents are um, still have this some type of unhealthy need that's not being met that they're longing for from their children. And there is this transition that has to take place, and you have to have that need met by God. Like it
Mm-hmm.
can't be met by another person. And um and so anyway, with our boys that are away, I have found, and I'm just grateful that they really call and check in with us. And so if they didn't, I'm sure I would figure out a way to get in touch with them. But we get constant updates, and we just answer when they call. I mean, if I can't answer, of course, with work or something, but if they call, then it is my priority to answer because usually they have 5 minutes. They're
Mm-hmm.
between classes. They're going from class to training. They're walking to the bus to go to a game. Like what if they call? Usually that's their moment, and so I seize the moment. And and I'm just honest with them if that moment doesn't work for me, but I at least hear their voices, say I'm praying for them. And something else that we do with our older kids, well, hopefully with all of our kids, but as they're getting older, as parents, our job is not as much correction anymore, you know? Um, it's just being available, offering counsel when asked. Um, but I want to always affirm them. And so my most famous text message to my kids, they probably would tell you, is I love you. I'm so proud of who you are. That's my classic line. I love you. I'm so proud of who you are. Because that line doesn't have to change. Like,
Nope.
if they ace their test, awesome. I love you and I'm proud of who you are. If they failed the test and they had to go talk to the professor and they had to do extra work or whatever that story looks like, well, I love you and I'm proud of who you are, you know? So,
Such good advice, Jenny. So wise, every bit of what you just said. I can't say if anyone is having a hard time in this stage, they need to rewind what we just said. That last few minutes was perfect. Like all of
mhm,
that was so good for all of us to be able you have to let down your expectations. I love
mhm,
that because really when you think of I can see the exchange whenever, and I do feel that I try to do that, but there are times we all slip right back into, like when you're
of
having a bad
course.
day, you're frustrated, whatever it is. But when you come at your kid with expectations or why haven't you called me or why didn't you do that when they're home for summer, like it just the I always say the expectations immediately kill the connection. And
It
I would
does.
always, always want a connection with my kids, my family, my husband, my anyone over an expectation. Like our expectations
Mhm,
seem to kill it so easily. So what you just said was just so wise and knowing, and it's all practice. It's not like we arrive and like, okay, I'm good at this now. It,
right.
it's every single day because it's easy to want to just respond or, like you said, offer correction rather than just be there for them when they want to, when they call. And I love that. It's the older they get, they're now living their life. And
Mhm.
if we don't give them correction all the time, they're probably going to call and ask our advice. But if we're
Well,
constantly giving
yes,
it, they're not gonna call and ask for it.
but it's the truth. I mean, you think about how you feel, even as an adult, if someone is constantly inserting themselves
Yes,
without your invitation, telling
yes,
you, Kelly, did you think about doing this differently? It really would have been better. Or Kelly, did you think about, I mean, it makes you just want to hide. You don't feel safe to receive that correction or suggestion or whatever it is because you weren't even asking for it. It only feels like criticism.
right.
And I think our words as parents, like anything we say over our children that's not approval, already carries so much more weight to it than whatever words we give. So like even if I'm just like, oh wow, I wish you didn't do that. Okay, that doesn't sound that heavy, right? But to my kid, they hear it like it's like exponentially more.
Absolutely.
Any negative tone, anything negative I could present over my children it is magnified, resonating, echoing, and it takes a lot for them to overcome that.
You're
And
so right.
um and so that's why I mean it doesn't mean that we just talk happy all the time. I mean we're honest, we're truthful and all that. But when I lay down all that God showed me about perfectionism and being controlling and thinking I was serving my family by trying to control everything. And really, I was trying to control the outcomes. I
Right,
didn't want me to fail and I didn't want anyone else to fail. And by golly, I'm going to make this happen, you know.
right.
But it's just speaking rejection over everyone all the time because it's like they're good enough, their best isn't good enough. And so let me get in there and do better. And when you just step back and get your hands off of it, it's like your best is always good enough. I mean, that's all you have to give is your best. It's
Absolutely.
always good enough. And if it doesn't meet the mark for whatever the story is, you've grown from it, you've learned from it, and you go again. Um, there's just more to gain in that. And I think in this I know we've been talking about all different things about transition and kids, but something that's come up a lot in conversations with friends, um, you and I are in such a similar season just with the ages our kids are at. So all the people we know, on the sideline, neighbors, everybody. But I feel like my sideline family is the people I spend the most time with. Is like we're all in this transition of our kids were our whole world, our time, our energy, our money, our emotion, everything. It was our
Mhm.
whole world. And sign me up again. I loved every minute of it. And yet we're transitioning into something new. And it doesn't mean our world is over, but there's this huge void that was never there before because busyness filled it. And
Right,
if we're not careful, you can really that this is a critical transition in people's lives, in marriages, um, because it can feel empty, it can feel void, and in the absence of all the busyness, you kind of are maybe having to look at yourself for the first time. You're feeling pain, you're feeling something that was probably there all along, but it was covered up by good things, busy with kids,
right.
um, kind of masks the pain. And now suddenly you're sitting there, in an empty house maybe or empty car or whatever, not because anything's bad, but it's because the natural right thing is happening and kids are walking into their futures and you're kind of left with like, well, what now, God? I mean, what's left for me? What's left for me?
Right.
And something that keeps coming back around in so many conversations is that I think in that what can seem like emptiness, with the spotlight on you, what you're thinking and feeling, it's really an invitation. It truly is an invitation into a season of healing. Um, and I think in all the busyness of raising kids, it's so hard to sit and pause and really know how we are, like really. Like we all go, "How are you? How are you?" "Oh, I'm good. I'm good." But like,
Right.
well, now it's
There's so
quiet.
much truth. Yes.
Yeah, it's like quiet now. Like, how are you? Like, really? And That's the journey that began for me when my oldest launched, and then another layer deeper when my second launched. And yes, I still, of course, had my three here that I was still called to raise, but it still was a new season for me where I realized that I was running out of whatever grit, whatever good I had of me was starting to run thin. I was just becoming weary. And that was when God invited me. I mean, He was just waiting on me to sit with
Mm-hmm.
Him and really understand where were my hurts, where was my brokenness. And it wasn't on my kids to fill that in me. And it's it's an accidental, unintentional thing that our kids bring such joy and bring us such purpose that we can be mistaken. We can be deceived and think, well, they're our answer. And my children have brought me more joy than I can ever explain. But their job, that's not their job
Right.
to heal the wounds in me and bring me joy. That's not their job. That's not a burden that should ever be put on our kids. And so, but it's in this transition, it's in this gap, in this void where I think parents can feel lost because the kids brought so much joy and now the kids are gone and now my joy's gone and what's next? And what's next is a true healing. You make a decision that whatever it takes, counseling, I believe it's physical, it's spiritual, it's mental, and it's emotional. And if we're not touching all those pieces, then that means there's still something else to heal. Like, and I can't say which one's most important because I think it's different for different people. And I think that, I was sharing with you a little bit before we got on the call, when we were just talking off record about how I've just started paying more attention to my physical health. And I think that God's led me there because I first paid attention to my spiritual health, and He's been so kind in allowing me to grow spiritually, but really rest in my mental health through counseling. Um, I just cannot recommend a licensed uh, Christian counselor enough, which has then led to emotional health. And so I've kind of been walking up this ladder, if you will, kind of dealing with what I could one at a time, because the last thing I want to do is lean into striving or achieving. I want to rest as I intentionally walk through this. And now the Lord's led me to physical. And that's a part of the healing He has too, is taking care of myself and feeling worthy. And that sounds so silly, but I think women understand that.
Oh,
Like, do I
absolutely.
do I feel worthy of taking the time for myself to be healthy physically? Because it will cost me something. It might mean I'm less available to the people that make me feel like I have purpose. If I have to go on a long walk or whatever, people are going to have to exist without me for a little bit. And selfishly, I love that these people give me purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to lay that down because I matter too. And I'm worthy of that time.
Oh my
And I'm
goodness.
worthy of that opportunity to grow and heal.
Jenny, that's all such good advice, and I can relate to every word you just spoke. But I love how you made it a healing season. And
Hmm.
I hope that every single person listening, because I know so many of us in this season feel that way, um, take that next step, whatever it is, to begin healing. And you gave
Hmm.
such good, like, advice on the next steps. I mean, starting physically to take care of yourself, time with God, just resting, recovering, thinking of starting to like pursue, that hobby that you always wanted, reaching out to
Hmm.
friends you haven't seen in forever, going on a date with your husband because you haven't been doing it, whatever it is, but taking that action and knowing it's okay,
Hmm.
healing that you don't have to just be okay in this season, but you can do things to help you heal and feel better in this season and put yourself first.
Yep.
Such good
Yeah.
advice, and we're gonna wrap this up because it's time, but in terms of your marriage, is really quick, is there anything that you guys do? I know you still have one at home, but is there anything in these years that you like, one non-negotiable or anything you do that is helps stay
Yeah,
connected?
so it's so interesting because I feel like I hear people often say, I was just listening to a podcaster this week say, we've had date night every Saturday night for 10 years or something.
Whew,
And I was like, "Oh, wow. I don't feel encouraged at all by that. I feel like we're
that's
failing, but we had to decide a long time ago, like there were so many moving parts to our family with 5 kids and my husband in ministry and like, we can't say we're going to have a date every Saturday night because that's not realistic and we will fail more than we succeed at that. And um, so we're not rigid, because kind of like what you were saying about the kids, like if you're like, I'm going to do that, like, I need you to do this, well, suddenly doesn't feel like such a privilege to get to be in love if it's constant demands. Um,
yes.
so we really try to connect daily, which that sounds so obvious, but it's not. Life
No,
is
it's
so
it's e
busy,
easy not
and
to.
yeah, it's so easy not to connect. And so we talk. We definitely talk about finances. I'd say we talk about finances more now, like maybe weekly. Again, not like a rigid rule, but just trying to make sure we're on the same page. Like, hey, this is what we have coming up. Um, we got this covered. Is this planned? And we're on the same team. And so I think that's a huge piece of this transition puzzle for women is as they feel a little lost and disoriented as their children are transitioning, that it can feel so uncomfortable. It's almost like this fight or flight mode. You can just think, oh my gosh, this doesn't feel good anymore. Like, get me out of here. I can't handle the pain. When really, like, the focus would be that what Jonathan always says, and I'm sure others say this too, but he always says, parenting is a temporary assignment. Marriage is a lifelong calling. And so, okay, like kids are leaving, but it doesn't change. Like this all started, this whole journey of this Bueller family started because we really liked each other. We
Right,
loved each other. We had to live our lives together. And we can't let that change. Like the mission never changed. This still all started because we really genuinely like each other. And we say that to each other a lot. Like I always say to Jonathan and the kids, oh my gosh, I really like you. Because of course I love them and I say I love them all the time, but I like him. Like I would choose to spend my time with him because I like him. And so just make sure you do whatever is needed to stay connected. And it's not always so dreamy. Sometimes it's super sacrificial. Um, but that I think that our husbands can feel so overlooked and so forgotten as we go through this season of launching kids because everybody's talking about the mom, like the mom's grieving and the mom's losing her kid and the mom this, mom that. And kind of what we said about Gage earlier, it's like, well, I'm focused on Gage. Like, hey, buddy, like, you're enough. You matter, you know? And same to Jonathan. Hey, you're enough. You matter. Like, I still have purpose here. My purpose didn't move out when they moved into their dorms.
right,
And so, just making sure the individual people in your family know, whether that's your husband or the kids, they each individually matter. And I think we do that well with our kids. I don't know that we tend to do that as well with our husbands. We
right,
tend to more put the burden on them that maybe we need more from them or they haven't done enough for us or something's lacking. And like, when was the last time you sent a text, to your husband that says, I love you and I love who you are? I'm proud of who you are. Like I think sometimes we just think like, well, I'm in survival mode and he's in survival mode, and as
right.
long as we're running the same direction in survival mode, hopefully we'll end up in the same
Yeah,
destination. And some of that's just the truth. I mean,
it
when we
is,
some of that's
absolutely.
just the truth. As long as you're both just as long as you're both surviving, I mean, hey, that's a big step one, but you're not supposed to just be surviving. You know,
No.
you're not supposed to be just surviving. And this season of transition can be a gift to marriage. It can be. Marriage can become a little more of a focus of your time and your efforts and your energy, where oftentimes your marriage was sacrificially put to the side for the sake of raising a family. And this season is a gift of reprioritizing where marriage should be.
Jenny, you've given so much, like almost more than I could have even imagined for all of us. And I'm going to probably listen to this multiple times because no matter how much we know, you just say it in such good, healthy ways and just so wise. And I just appreciate your time so much and you opening up your heart, what you're going through, and just giving us what's been helping you. And I know it's going to help all of us too. So thank you, thank you, thank you for being here with me today.
You're so welcome, and I'm so grateful you reached out. And maybe, just maybe, we'll have the dream of getting to work together and serve some of your clients there in Central Florida.
I would love it. I would love it. And I will absolutely keep you at the top of my radar. I'm so
Yes.
excited. So
Oh, thank you, Kelly. Love you so much.
thank you. You too, Jenny. Thank you so much for being here with me.